Hi, Jess Harris here for Tuppence Magazine, and I'm going to be asking the question, did Kang create the Incredible Hulk in the MCU? And for anybody that's questioning my sanity, just hold your horses because there is more to the theory than meets the eye. But before I get into all of the detail, don't forget to drop a comment below and let me know what you think, and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But for anybody that doesn't know, Kang the Conqueror is going to be the next big bad in the MCU. He's coming our way in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and that's just gonna be the start of things because this interdimensional megalomaniac is going to be back in 2025 for the Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. What though, you might be asking, that has to do with the Incredible Hulk and his part in the MCU? Well, as it turns out, it could be more than you realize, and it all stems back to 2012's Marvel's The Avengers, where Tony Stark has a conversation when he meets Bruce Banner about the incident that turned him into the Incredible Hulk. During the conversation, Tony states that the amount of gamma radiation that he received should really have killed him, and that it was the other guy that saved him. Now, at the time, it seemed obvious that the other guy was just the Incredible Hulk. However, now that we look back, it could well be somebody else. And with everything that He Who Remains said during Loki, it doesn't take too long to find our main culprit. During the Disney Plus series, he says two things that are really important. Firstly, that he paved the road for everybody to walk down, including Loki and Sylvie in the show. And it's also revealed that everything that the Avengers did was supposed to happen as a part of the sacred timeline, which is essentially what He Who Remains uses to prevent the other Kang variants from taking over the multiverse and killing him off. In the words of Mr. Miyagi, nip here, prune there, and suddenly he's the only guy left. Obviously, having a cosmic entity like Alioth to destroy everything that's sent to the void comes in handy, but the general gist is that if it hasn't been written down by He Who Remains, aka Nathaniel Richards, yet another Kang, it doesn't happen. Now, you might argue that just because the He Who Remains variant of Kang wrote that Bruce Banner becomes the Incredible Hulk, that doesn't necessarily mean that he made it happen. However, when you rewatch Avengers and listen to Tony Stark, it becomes clear that something might just be amiss. Equally, He Who Remains doesn't say that he wrote the road. He said that he paved it and that everybody just walked down it, which means that when he needs to, he obviously interferes, and for the most part, that's through the TVA, but maybe, just maybe, there are times when he needs to step in himself. There's even more evidence in The Incredible Hulk to add to Tony Stark being baffled about Bruce Banner remarkably surviving so much gamma radiation. In the 2008 film, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross tells Emil Blonsky about the accident that turned Bruce Banner into the Hulk. During that conversation, he says that either something went terribly wrong or something went terribly right, which again seems to imply that there's a bit of bafflement about why things turned out the way they did. Now, in all fairness, Bruce was pumped up with a version of super soldier serum that he'd created to protect against gamma radiation, so you could say that's obviously why he survived. In fact, he was so sure that it would work that he went ahead and tested it on himself, and it's this that appears to be the smoking gun. Because he clearly didn't intend to turn into an indestructible green monster with anger management issues, something went incredibly wrong/right, depending on your outlook, and with everything that we now know about He Who Remains, it seems a likely possibility that Kang might just be the answer. The point is that the super soldier serum may well be a good enough explanation for him surviving the experiment, but it doesn't definitively take the blame for the freak accident. While this isn't a complete answer to the question, there's clearly more than enough to say that it's a distinct possibility that Kang had a hand in the creation of the Incredible Hulk. The fact that Tony Stark was baffled by his origin story and Bruce Banner didn't factor it in as a risk in an experiment that he performed on himself is enough of a whiff of something fishy for us. Add to that the fact that everything the Avengers did was meant to happen, maybe to protect the timeline, and you've got a fairly convincing argument. The final piece of the puzzle is all on motivation. What possible reason could he who remains have to create an unstoppable, indestructible, and impossibly strong mutant? You might say to help defeat the Chitauri, Ultron, and Thanos, and remove them as possible threats to Kang, but then the TVA have a range of Infinity Stones at their disposal, so could have done the job themselves pretty easily. Another option is to save Tony Stark at the end of the Avengers, so that he can go on to invent a stable method for time travel in Avengers Endgame as part of the time heist, a process that Kang and his variants build on in the 31st century to take over everything. However, there were plenty of other heroes standing around to catch him, so the Hulk isn't the only option here, and that leaves us seemingly without a motive. But there's more to this complex plot than everything that we've seen to date. The most likely solution is that Bruce Banner in Hulk form is going to be instrumental in Kang's plans in the future. In Loki, we saw that there comes a point at which he who remains is unable to see beyond. But everything before that is fair game. Chronologically, the show takes place for the alternate version of Loki just after 2012's Avengers, but the action itself is at the end of time. That means that there's still plenty of time for He Who Remains to know something about the Hulk and how he might be integral to his plans. While he managed to wipe out all of the other Kangs thanks to the pruning might of Goliath, it's possible that he needs the incredible green smashing machine before he makes that discovery to save him from the might of Kang the Conqueror. There is a minor caveat though. In 2008's The Incredible Hulk, Samuel Stearns, aka Mr. Blue, does mention that gamma pulses coming from Banner's amygdala provide his cells with the energy to transform, and that this is why he didn't die during the experiment. However, the science of the Incredible Hulk is a bit shaky in general, and it doesn't account for the accident or Tony Stark's bafflement about the whole thing. The film doesn't show the event in any detail, but we've got to imagine that Bruce took the serum first and then exposed himself to the gamma radiation. The serum was designed to protect him, but it wasn't designed to mutate him into a monster, so something very weird happened, and it's here that the hand of Kang might be the answer. You might also say that because the film also featured the Abomination, it wasn't out of the ordinary, but the truth is that the two processes weren't the same. It was only Bruce Banner's already mutated blood that allowed Emil Blonsky to change into Abomination, so it simply built on the previous result instead of being a direct replication of the same experiment. It looks like Tim Roth will be back in the role in She-Hulk, so maybe we'll find out more then. Either way, it's going to be a lot of fun seeing how Hulk features in the rest of the multiverse saga. Looking ahead, there doesn't appear to be many opportunities for him to appear before Avengers: The Kang Dynasty in 2025, so we're going to have a long wait to ponder this one. Let me know in the comments what you think of the theory. Do you agree that there's at least the possibility that Kang created the Hulk for some as yet unrevealed reason, or do you think it's totally ridiculous? If you could also take a little time to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, that would also be appreciated. All of your support will help fire up my own amygdala and its close neighbours to ponder more of the future for the MCU.